Hey guys, it's What's up? I hope you're good. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to what I read in February. If you can see stuff happening in the background, there's my husband playing Pokemon and watching YouTube, so that's what's going on back there. So in February, I read 8 books and listened to 2 audiobooks. So we're gonna start by my worst read/listen of February, which was that I finished Jane Eyre. I've been on Jane Eyre most of January and like half of February. I didn't like it, but I was listening to it for a reading vlog, which is now out, by the way. Jane Eyre is about our main character, Jane Eyre, who is an orphan living with her mean aunt and cousins. We go a little bit through her childhood as an orphan who then lives at an orphan school. And when she becomes a teacher person for a rich man and his adopted daughter. It is technically a love story, but the whole time I was not rooting for neither Jane nor Mr. Rochester, who is the love interest. I didn't like them. Jane was boring. Rochester was an asshole, and not like the ones that we usually have in like some romance book that you still root for them. The only person I liked was the child. She was sweet. That's it. If you want to know more about how I felt and like my reaction throughout the book, you can always go see the reading vlog, which is reading Book Cleo's top 10 reads of 2022. It's the number 1 on her list, so it's the last book in the video. I also finished reading Treasured in February. This is the 3rd book in the Biting Chronicles series by Elena Argalia. Book 1 is Feathered, so I'm going to talk about book 1 because I'm not going to spoil you book 3. So, in this book, in this series, we follow Luna, who is a human who gets into an arranged marriage with the vampire prince, also known as the Prince of Darkness. He has a very bad reputation. He is the queen's dark soldier, doing all of her dirty work. So Luna, of course, thinks she's gonna die at the end of her husband in the first couple hours after their wedding. Sebastian, on the other hand, he is a huge simp.
Same.
He falls for Luna right away. He loves her so much he would do anything for her. He does practically anything for her, honestly. And yeah, they're just very sweet. And in this series, we get like a lot of facets that I like in romanticities. My favorite book in this series was the first one because that's where we get a lot of just Luna and Sebastian getting to know each other and falling for each other. In book 2, which is Tormented, we have a tournament going on, which I also really like in romanticy/fantasies. I give this one a 4.5. And the 3rd book is Treasured right here, which we have prepping for a big battle and the big battle itself. So I just realized that I didn't talk at all about the tether itself, which is what the whole series is kind of about, and even the first book's title is. So Luna and Sebastian are also tethered, which means that there was a spell put on them that they can't go over 3 feet away from each other, which also adds to like the push and pull of the love and the arranged marriage. Now, second book I read, my favorite, Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren personally always hit. So, you know, I picked it up. And it's the first time I'm reading a Christina Lauren book that I'm just about. It was a nice little read, but it was not wow like a lot of her books are to me. So this book right here is about our main character, Millie and Reed, and their two best friends actually, who are Ed, Chris, and Alex. Now in this friend group, they have held this single for a very long time and aren't really into the dating scene. But in a couple of months, they have this big thing at the university they work at where they need to bring a +1. So these 5 best friends decide to create online dating profiles. Thing is, the night after they talked about this for the first time, well, Reed and Millie hook up. Best sex of their life, and they're like, oh shit, never thought doing that with my best friend would go this way. About the dating profiles, well, the boys make fun of Millie's profile. They're like, that's no dude is gonna swipe right on you. So she creates a second profile with an alter ego kind of going on, whose name is Catherine. Problem is, well, first of all, Millie is falling for Reed. And second of all, Catherine matches with Reed. And Reed starts falling for Catherine, not knowing it's Millie. So we go through this, seeing the duality between Millie and her alter ego Catherine, and of how Reed acts with both of them, and Reed being torn apart between which girl he wants to be with. It was alright, you know. Not the best, but what can you do about that, you know? Some books are better than others, so. But I'm glad I read it because I'd been wanting to read it for a long time. I finally bought it back in November, I believe, at the Montreal Book Salon. And so I finally got to it. Now, Ali Hazelwood, my favorite author, had a new book coming in February. I thought it was towards the end of the month. I couldn't wait to get it because I had it on pre-order. It was at the start of the month that it came out. And right as I got this, I rushed my ass to finish this book that had like 50 pages left in and read it. This is Bride. It is her first and probably will be her last paranormal romance. Now, Ali Hazelwood, like, her humor always does it for me. Her characters, I love them. Her mans always make me fall. So we have this. So this is about Misery Lark. Vampire princess-ish. She is the daughter of a very high vampire councilman. Her whole life, she has been sent to live with the human as a collateral to have peace between the humans and vampires. Now we're a couple of years after her role as a collateral has ended, and she's still living amongst the human. Until one day, she's told, you're now going to be collateral again, but with the werewolves, who are the vampire's mortal enemies. So she is now in an arranged marriage with the alpha of the werewolf pack, Lo Moreland. Lo is the best man in the fucking world. Like, Adam Carlson's there for me. He's like so fucking close, you know? Adam Carlson being my biggest book boyfriend, which is The Man from the Love Hypothesis, also by Ali Hazelwood. Now, Misery does accept to be the collateral because she also has her little thing going on and her reason to be there that no one else knows about. So in here we have an arranged marriage, we have some falling in love. We also have a little mystery kind of going on. And I really liked it. It was my favorite read of the month, even though I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5, and I gave one or two books a 5 out of 5. I still had the most fun reading this book, even though it didn't hit all of the points for me to have a 5-star. Also, I've seen on TikTok that a lot of people are learning what knotting is with this book, and they are flabbergasted by it. And when I see that, I'm like, you know what? We didn't grow up on the same unrestricted access to Wattpad. Some people to AO3, but you know what I mean. Also, the knotting is very tame. Compared to some books I read where we've had devil shifters that knotted. We had dragon shifters that knotted. Both in the Magic of Discovery series. Emerald Lake, I think that's the name of the series. Can't be wrong. I've had other werewolf knotting. This is very tame for knotting, if I'm completely honest. So, if you're scared of it, don't be. It's a fun ride. Pun intended, it's a fun ride, not only for the book, but the knotting also.
Yeah.
I used to hate filming with my husband in the background, but now I think it's funny because I'm talking about the books I've read, and he practically also knows the books I've read because when I read a book, I talk to him constantly about it. That might also be because I'm autistic and hyper-focus on whatever the book is I'm currently reading.
Maybe.
That probably doesn't help. Next, I read Butcher and Blackbird. A TikTok famous serial killer spicy romance. Okay, so I'm gonna need for author to slow the fuck down with the first name Sloan.
It's not even a good name.
It's not a good name, and I used to not see it anywhere. So when I would catch a book of it, I was like, okay, like being quirky. 3 books in the span of like a month that I've read that the main female character has the name Sloan. Y'all. Anyways, so this book is about Rowan and Sloan, also known as the Butcher of Boston and the Orb Weaver. So they are both serial killers that go after other serial killers. And one year, Rowan practically saves Sloan after a bad encounter with one of those serial killers that she just killed. And then he's like, you know what? Let's make this an annual game. Every year, my brother is gonna send us a location where there's a serial killer, and the first one to kill him wins. And with that, they start slowly but surely falling for each other. Rowan falls hard and fast for Sloan. Sloan kind of does too, but doesn't want to realize it. I liked it. It was a good read. It wasn't my favorite, but I can't wait for Leather and Lark, which is book 2, that we're gonna have an enemies to lover with Lark, who is Sloane's best friend, and Lachlan, who is Rowan's brother. We've had a little like peek at their relationship, like how they hate each other in this one, and I just think the second one is going to be even better. But all in all, it was a fun ride. Next book I've read was Bunny by Mona Awad. When I picked this up, I didn't remember I was getting myself into a horror. So when the first horror thing happened, that's not like kind of cultish, I was like, wait, hold the fuck up. What's going on? Went on Goodreads and saw that it was nominated for the Goodreads Awards in the horror category. And it won place number 2 or 3. So it was a good book. This book is about Samantha, who goes to university, and on her university campus are these 4 girls that always refer to each other as Bunny. Like, hi Bunny, how are you Bunny? I missed you Bunny, all the time. They do in fact look kind of cultish, if you ask me. But Samantha has one of her class with only these 4 girls in it. So she's like, you know what, this semester, I won't be as much of a bitch to them. I'm just gonna try to make it work for the sake of this one class. Well, the bunnies get kind of attached to her and kind of rope her into their little cult. And we discover, like, how the girls actually act in private. And it's something. It was good. It was good. If you want to see my live reaction to this, it's also in the Bookleo 2022 top 10 reading vlog I've done. This was her number 2, I'm pretty sure, on that list. Next, we had a reread for me because I'm currently filming a reading vlog of me rereading all of my 5 stars of 2023. This book is on there. Rule Number 5 by J. Wilder. I did give it a 5-star again. So this book is about Sydney, who has her whole life planned out. And in her plan, she also has 5 rules for hooking up. Now I'm going to read those rules to you because rule number 1 is no kissing. Rule number 2 is one night only. Rule number 3 is no exchanging phone numbers. Rule number 4 is no hockey players. And rule number 5 is no falling in love. Then one night, she's about to hook up with this one guy, Jax. Fucking Jax. He is actually the captain of the hockey team, so she turns him down when she learns that. Well, they end up being in one of the same classes, sitting side by side, and Jax makes her a bet, which he ends up winning. And as soon as he wins that bet, he starts going through her rules one by one and just breaking them. I think I liked reading this book more than the first time I read it because I read book 2 in this series, which is Rules of the Game, in I think December. Book 1 and 2 in the series happened practically at the same time, so we got to see another side of Jax. And in book 2, we also see Jax past and his backstory and his struggles a little more than in his own book. And I think that made me like Jax even more and like this story and how Sydney can go through his walls and like even more than it did the first time I read it. That is around when I started listening to the audiobook called Shiver by Maggie Stiefwater, which is book 1 of the Wolf of Mercy Fall series. This series is about Grace, who as a child was attacked and bitten by a wolf. But another wolf of the pack actually saved her. And since that night in her childhood, she's been seeing those same yellow eyes of that one wolf in her backyard because she lives practically like by the forest every winter. Now at 16, shit goes south with the people of her town and the wolves. And who appears on her back door but a dude who was just shot with those same yellow eyes. So you might understand by now that we have werewolves. We also have Sam, who is our werewolf. He's been living 2 lives for a good chunk of his life, actually. In the summer as a human and in the winter as a wolf. Because in this world, what makes the wolves change is actually the temperature. And from afar, he has slowly but surely been falling for our main character, Grace. Now, when Sam ends up on Grace's doorstep, as a human, in the cold of fall, he's not really sure what's going on. But she takes him in and helps him and learns the truth about the wolves, and they fall in love, and it's actually pretty sweet. I actually started listening to book 2 a couple days ago. Only thing I don't like about book 2 this far is that they changed the voice actor for Sam between book 1 and 2. So, besides that, very sweet series. It's a series from 2009, I think. But it's sweet. Next, I started reading Wild Love by Jennifer Ryan. That was okay, but no, not more than that. Now, in this book, we have Lyric, who is a singer-songwriter. And why wouldn't her name be Lyric? That's fun, right? Anyways, so we have our main character, Lyric, who is a singer-songwriter who also posts covers to YouTube. She works at her family's dive bar as a cook, and also to help out sometimes she works on her parents' ranch. Then we also have Viper, who is an undercover FBI agent who is currently investigating in a motorcycle club in the same city that Lyric is. He has been watching her from afar at the bar and slowly falling for her. And she's also been seeing him at the bar and falling for him. Well, one day, a stalker shows up to Lyric's door and starts fucking her life up. And we have our very protective Viper, of course, who is trying to watch out for her while also not outing himself as an FBI agent to the motorcycle club. And we have a little bit of a hidden romance and a lot of trust, but a lot of protectiveness, and yeah. It didn't wow me. I've read better version of this before, but it was good. It was a good time. Last but not least, well, it's the last book I'm going to talk about, but I read it when I was in the middle of Wild Love because I needed a little break from that. Where's Molly by H.D. Carlton. Now, this book is kind of a spin-off of a character we kind of meet in Hunting Adeline. No, in Hunting Adeline. Actually, the book 2 of the Cat and Mouse Duet. We have kind of seen Molly through her journal that Adeline finds when she's at Francesca's. If you know, you know. I don't want to say more about that because that would be a spoiler for Hunting Adeline. When she was younger, Molly went missing, kind of out of nowhere, and lived through some shit, which I will not be explaining because it would be a spoiler to Hunting Adeline because Adeline does end up in that same situation. So if you know because you read it, then you know. If you don't, I'm sorry that it's vague. When she got out of that shit situation, she wanted to escape, start a new life with a new name, and so she went to the best of the best, who is Cage. Cage does that for a living. He makes people disappear, gives them new identity, and let them go on their way. Now, for everything Molly wants, it's going to take Cage 24 hours to do that. And she has nowhere else to go. So, she ends up staying in Cage's apartment, in the guest room for the night. And they end up having a one-night stand. Because of course they do. You know, it's a H.D. Carlton book. Of course they do. And then she disappears. For 9 years, Cage has been thinking about her and wishing to see her again and have a relationship with her. Until one day, he is on a job and finds her again. They reunite, they fall for each other, and yeah, it was very sweet. Well, honestly, what they do, there's a lot of murder going on in here, so I don't know if very sweet is the correct term. But it was very nice. And something I really liked is that we have the two timelines. We have the timeline of when shit went south for her and she met Cage, and the timeline of now and her new relationship with Cage. Now, we have like a little how to read if you want. The reading order is first Satan's Affair, which is Sibby's first story. Then we have Haunting and Hunting outlined. Then we have Where's Molly? And A.J. Carlson's actually writing a new book duet series, maybe even, about Sibby and her henchmen, because Satan's Affair is really about just Sibby when she's at the fair in the haunted house. But now we're gonna get her like her now, you know, her when she's playing frisbee with human arms and haunting outline, or her being her crazy little self. Yeah. Those are all the books I read in February, and I don't usually post 2 videos a week, but this week I will because I filmed a March TBR, and this TBR is so fucking big, honestly. I know I'm not gonna get through all this book this month, but yeah, I also want to put that out, so it's gonna be on Friday. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the TBR. Bye!